Okay, so as promised, today you have your final fractions review before you do your Kahoot quiz. I'm going to just run through a few things that you should make sure that you know before you do your quiz. So let's get started. So first up, what does a fraction show, or what is a fraction? And that is that basically all you need to know is that a fraction is a part of a whole. So a fraction shows a part of a whole, okay? Next up, you need to know about equal and not equal parts. So remember that equal parts are all the same size. So the blue snail, he has 4 equal parts. And the pink one, she has 3 parts, but they are not equal, okay? And then when we split something, you need to also know that there are more than one ways to split them. So for instance, there's a square, and there is more than one way to split this square into 4 equal parts. So the first way, you can see that it goes up, down, and across, okay? Then we have across and across, so an X, and then we have just side to side, right? So each one of these 3 is equal, okay? But they're just cut differently. So you can split a shape differently multiple times, okay? Now, how many equal parts do these shapes have? So let's have a quick look. This one is cut into 2. This one is cut into 1, 2, 3. This one is cut into 4, all right? The other thing you need to know is what those equal parts are called. So remember that when you have 2 equal parts, it is a half. 3 equal parts is a third. 4 equal parts is a fourth. 5 equal parts, fifth. Okay. 6 equal parts, sixth. 7th is 7 equal parts. 8th is 8 equal parts. 9th is 9 equal parts, and 10th is 10 equal parts. So make sure that you know, for example, what a 6th is. So remember that it's when we have 6 equal parts. So it's how many parts the whole is cut into, all right? And they are our fancy fraction names. So if I was looking at these ones and I was gonna use their names, I would start by writing the number of what's shaded. So the first one is 1, 2, 3. And then there's 5 altogether, so I would write 3/5, okay? Then for the circle, I have 3, and it's 4 parts, so I would write 3/4. And then up next, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so I would write 1/6, okay? So the part that's shaded is the number, and then the actual amount that it's cut into is the name of the fraction. You also need to remember what the numerator and denominator is in a fraction. So remember that the numerator tells us how many parts are being counted, okay? So how many parts are being counted? So in our rectangle here, we have 1 shaded bit. So that's why it's a 1, because we're only counting the shaded parts. Okay, the denominator is how many equal parts there are in a whole group. So here we have a triangle, there are 2 parts, 1, 2, so that's why there are 2. So it tells us how many there are as a whole, okay? So if I had a circle and I put it, I cut it into 4 equal parts. Okay, so that's my number on the bottom, which is the denominator. And if I color in 1, then the one that I'm counting is what I'm looking for. Okay, and that's the numerator. So the numerator is the number at the top, and the denominator is the number at the bottom. So let's write these fractions out. So I'm looking at the shape that is colored. So again, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. That's my number on the bottom, and I see that 2 are colored. So it's 2/3, or 2/3 if I wanted to write it that way as well. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 altogether, but I have 3 that is colored, so that is 3/4. Oh, there we go. Now, some of you outsmarted me and you wrote that this was 1 whole or a whole, which you're correct, it is. But for what you need to know for the Kahoot quiz, wink wink, is that if you see something like this, you need to write it as a fraction. So count how many parts there are altogether, 4, and then you're going to write how many there are as which are colored, okay? So it's 4 over 4. So I know the answer is 1 whole, okay, because obviously everything's colored, but you need to write it as 4 over 4, okay? Or you could write it as 4/4 if you really wanted to. All right, so just a little wink wink on that one. The last thing we did was compared our fractions. So remember that Gary and Erie, they like to eat big numbers and they like to ignore the small. So their mouths are always open to the big ones. And then we have Erie here, who's just equal. He's just hanging out. He's cool. So when you see a fraction like this, you're just going to write the sign, and you can just look at the pictures and see which one is bigger, and then you're going to draw the correct sign. When you have the numbers, remember that if the numbers on the bottom are the same, you don't even have to look at them. You can just cross them off, and then you just put, again, the number that's the biggest. There's also going to be a few word problems because you had some of those in your math practice and homework book. So this is a very poor, bad example of one, so I'm going to read it to you. It didn't come out this bad until I had it on this big screen. So it says, Naomi cut an apple into 7 slices. She ate 3 of the slices. What fraction of the fruit did she eat? So the first thing we need to find out is the denominator, which is how many slices makes up the whole apple, and we know that's 7. And then when she says she ate 3, and we're trying to find out which one is 3, or how many she ate, she ate 3 slices. Okay, so it's 3 over 7 is our fraction. Then we might have some maybe comparing word problems. So here Otis walks 3/4 of a mile, 3/4 miles to school. Susie walks 2/4 miles to school. Who walks further each day? And remember, the numbers at the bottom don't matter. We're just looking at the numbers on the top. So I know that Otis walks further. Okay, now 2B shows that you have to read it really carefully. So Grace and Charlie share a candy bar. Grace ate 5/8, okay, that's nice, and Charlie ate 3/8. Who ate the smallest part of the candy bar? So please make sure that you are reading the questions carefully, because you might get into the habit of being, oh, who walked the most? Which one's the biggest? But what we want to do is we want to say who had the smallest, okay? So please just make sure that you're reading the questions super carefully, all right? So here is your Kahoot quiz for today. Your game pin is here on the bottom for you, just there. Remember, you just need to put it in. Please write your first name and your last or first initial. So first name, last initial, especially if your name is Ahmed, because we have 2. Okay, so Ahmed A, Ahmed E, you two especially have to write your last name initial, please. You don't have to write 3A because it's just our class that's completing this for us today. The other classes are doing it, but all of the other teachers made their own Kahoot accounts, so we don't have to share anymore. So you guys can just write your name. If there's no one else with the same name in the class, then you can just write your first name. But Ahmed A and Ahmed E, I'm calling you out. Please write either Ahmed A or Ahmed E, okay? And remember that when you're doing your Kahoot quiz, to please take your time, all right? Read the questions carefully. You still get points if you get it correct. You get the same amount of points. I've tried it 3 times. And you still get the same amount of points if you do it faster or slower. So make sure that you are taking the time to read the questions and answers carefully. A lot of you have made some pretty silly mistakes in past Kahoot quizzes because you're doing it too fast. So this isn't a quiz to see who finishes first. This is a quiz to see who can get the most answers correct, okay? So even if you take longer to finish the question. If you get it correct, I see that, okay? And that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to see how fast you did each question in. I'm looking to see how many you got correct. So please take your time, read the questions carefully, okay? And remember that if you need more time to review, you can have it. The quiz is open until Thursday, so you have 1 whole week, 7 days to do this. So if you do need more time, go for it. But remember, this is a special weekend, so you might want to try and get it done today or tomorrow even. So just make sure that you keep that in mind, okay? I don't want you guys to forget, so not do it today and then forget. So please make sure that you just do your Kahoot quiz, all right? And remember, take your time, read it carefully, and write your name as who you are in the class. So write your name so I know who took the quiz. And that's it. So that is what you need to do for me today for math. And I look forward to seeing who can beat me on the Kahoot quiz. Good luck.